This is going to be the Nico right here. We can actually just run this clip. You're going to see TES are retreating back through mid lane. And now keep your eyes on Keria here. So what he is going to do is play around a vision trick that Nico can use. So he's going to turn into a wolf right here. And now, as he crosses through mid lane, we're going to pause this and we're going to actually look at the minimap. So you would think they have full vision of this, but there's nothing there. You do not see it because monsters don't show on the minimap. So TES has no idea what is coming. Now this gets even better as Keria is going to drop a ward right here for Doran to be able to TP.
He did it.
And then he's going to throw his clone and watch JackeyLove. JackeyLove is going to get baited by this clone thinking he's getting engaged on. He's actually going to bounce out, but the real Keria is right here. He has no Valk, he has no way out. Keria plays this perfectly. He just utilizes every little detail of the champ to his advantage. And I just feel like, add another one to the list. He can't play this either.
It's true. His Bard is also great, but specifically with
Gotta
Keria,
ban everything.
I often feel when I see Keria playing to the best of his abilities in high-pressure situation, I'm like, is this the best player in the world? Just because of the influence you can have on the games, if you're consistently getting the enemy carry down, Thaddeus, it's very impressive because he also wasn't too hot at the beginning of the tournament.
I mean, even throughout the year, a lot of question marks are raised about his performance and would he be able to perform at the World Championship. But the conversation always happens with this roster of T1 is that when it's Worlds time, it's Magic time, and all of the players show up. And Keria, I mean, he has been an absolute superstar, especially in the knockdown.
Yeah, it's just so fun to watch, and Lord did get a chance to talk to Keria earlier.
I keep on hearing on socials and online that this finals feels like the one in 2022 when the RX made finals. You were one of the favorite teams back then. Do you feel like this finals with KT Rolster has the same feeling?
Well, KT, of course, they did fantastic job to make it all the way to the finals, but you know, I can also say that not many people expected them to be, you know, have this run, so I can see the similarities there. But I want to say back in 2022, like this year as well, T1 was a challenger as well, so maybe there's also that. But also just looking back at 2022, I was so caught with the fact that I really want this one. I was so thirsty for it. I was obsessed with it. I think I kind of factor into the outcome as well. But this year, I'm different. I'm more like, this is just a part of me chasing my dream. You know, I'm not all about winning the World's Finals or trophy. It's more about, it's one of the paths that I'm taking in order to reach my goal and my dream. So I think that there's a big difference.
Yeah, DRX 2022 was such a formative event for this T1 lineup, but on the other hand, I know that they asked some of the KT players about it, like Jobdom, and he said, I'm very flattered that you would say that there are similarities to DRX, but I don't think so. We are the first of KT who want to do this in this manner, and I think that's a great point. And for KT as a whole, though, they have improved so much.
But I dropped so many fucking frames, holy shit.
This wasn't a team that we would have guessed would make
I'm
it to
dropping
the
so many
World
frames.
Final at all.
No, especially, and I want to call out two specific players in Perfect and Peter, where Azael and I are going to go bad play, good play, kind of, talking about some domestic plays. So as we look at the first clip, I specifically picked some quote-unquote bad plays that had to do with team communication overall, right? So here, KT is in kind of a tough spot. They're going to start off this Otacon, as you can already see. Perfect is TPing already a bit late as we run through the clip. The engage actually happens before he even is able to complete his teleport, right? So he's late coming into the back half of this fight, which allows Gen G to respond really, really well to it. And he only hits his Ornn ult onto one person in Keen, and then ends up getting owned by Canyon Skarner right here. So not exactly the front line you would want from your Ornn.
You're just flaming him, Emily. Wow.
No, actually, Keen was flaming him. That was the Rumble. But now we're going to get to see Perfect do some flaming with an incredible Rumble team fight here against Gen G. Eyes on the Rumble. So we can just run the clip. Duro is going to get found out, and that is going to cause a fight to break out. But the positioning from Perfect is incredible in this fight. So Duro is spotted. All of Gen G are pushing up into this area. Look at the equalizer right down the entire Gen G team. Then Ruler and Chovy trying to push up to join. Perfect zones them off into the stasis, and that is not all. Beautiful flash back from Duro as he tried to look for the engage. This was just incredible zone control. You couldn't have had a better team fight than Perfect did right there.
It's true, it was perfect. I know you were trying to not say it. Yeah, you were trying to not say it, but I feel
Wonderful.
like...
Splendid.
And I think
fantastic. Beautiful.
Yeah, we also can't overstate how much they doubted him,
Yeah.
right? In the top lane coming in here, but he really had a wonderful tournament. But you said you had 2 examples?
Yeah, I feel like people also doubted Peter, and this is the second example. It is going to be Peter going up against Hanwha Life.
52% dropped
he
frames.
ends up, as you see him at the bottom of your screen there, he's going to end up getting got by HLE, who are actually doing the Drake. He's
Probably a
also,
slideshow
again,
right now.
As we roll through the clip, I tried to pick clips where it seems like it could also be a team decision where they weren't necessarily on the same page, because I think coordination, especially with Peter and Perfect, has been a massive, massive improvement at this tournament.
Now this play, I picked this Renata game because Renata's not that flashy. It had a lot of lane prio, and I want to talk about how Peter used it. We can roll the clip. This was them getting pushed in bot lane, and then he's able to flash onto Canyon, trading flashes here with the jungler, putting the pressure on. Then they go back to bot lane, they get the push once more. Immediately they make their roam towards mid lane, and he's going to be able to force the flash out of Chovy as well. But that is not all. In the big team fight here that decides the game, Gen G hard engages onto BDD, and then eyes on Peter in the pit, R flash over the wall, hostile takeover comes through, Docdom pulls him in, he peels perfectly, and I just felt like he played a beautiful game start to finish on the Renata.
And I love that you mentioned how they use that priority, because when we look at how Docdam and Peter played versus Gen G, there was a lot of priority on getting them winning 2 versus 2s in their series. Every time they were able to get that winning 2 versus 2, they were able to get the first dragon, contest the first grubs, and it gave them so much control over the early game, which kind of culminates into this development that we've been seeing from KT.
Look at that guy. How can you not cheer for him?
He's so chilled out. Yeah, you're right. It's a culmination of everything they've worked towards, right? And I think one moment that we'd love to see again is that base defense versus Gen G. What a moment.
Let's take a look at it, because I feel like everyone looks at this and they're like, oh my gosh, the Yone play. This is what everyone is already calling this because of BDD's EQ flash ult combo that's going to come across here. But the important things I do want to call out before we tee up this team fight is Perfect, who's going to get an equalizer through here. Peter, who's going to have a Pop Blossom that follows up. And then later on in the fight, how they play around Zhonya's with Docdom's Caitlyn. So we'll start it off. We see the BDD engage is just absolutely insane. You can tell that Gen G are not expecting BDD to go in here. And then the important part here is this, right? Chovy has blown Zhonya's, and this allows a Caitlyn trap to end up right here, which ends up being Chovy's undoing. And then Keen also dies on the back half of this fight because of how they draw Gen G in and set it up. And I thought this tenacity, the way that they played through this team comp in such a clutch moment was awesome to see from KT.
It was, and there were 2 of them, if I remember correctly, right? Also in the mid lane as well, just standing up saying, you shall not pass into our base. You talked about BDD and Cuz there, and I think we want to take a closer look at that, because this has been a relationship, player relationship, in terms of what they've experienced together, that has been going for a very long time, with ups and downs.
It certainly has. It was their debut back in 2017 when Cuz won his first title alongside BDD. And to see them start there and now here goes to show how long it's been since they've been able to work together and find this level of success. It's been a beautiful relationship to see development. And as Emily mentioned earlier, when we saw it in their highlight moment of winning against Gen G, it was those 2 immediately turning towards one another, reaching what was a beautiful point.
Yeah, and as we see, they're kind of concurrent timelines where they've overlapped as teammates, where they haven't. This is the core of this KT lineup. This is what KT Rolster wanted to rebuild around, and now that's finally paying dividends, and they're in the World's Finals.
Absolutely beautiful. And now, how could it be any different? Our featured matchup presented by Mercedes-Benz. BDD versus Faker.
8 years in the making. For the first time in the organization's history, BDD will take KT Rolster to the World Finals in our featured matchup presented by Mercedes-Benz. As with so many before him, this road has led him to Faker. Since 2017, BDD has been hailed as a part of a new generation of great mid laners. Despite being an incredible player on the teams he has been a part of, the results have not met expectations. But now, at Worlds 2025, KT find themselves in the finals, only dropping a single game so far, and only one more series stands between BDD and lifting the Summoners Cup.
The jump in there, Jojo's going to follow as well. Shockwave is big though. 3-man with a hot pot inside. Oh my god! Oh my Ginger. Cannon's gonna go into the Guardian Angel. But the Angel's on his shoulder might be enough. Fate sealed. From BDD onto the backline. Now look for Ruler. Keen flashes. Get down, Mr. Ruler. The damage of the perfect as well, but everybody gains. Once again from BDD. And he tries to flash away from Ace.
What the fuck? She still had her.
So the question is it time to get excited?
That is the question indeed.
Of course it is.
It is the time to get excited for either person, but also to see Faker, to see if he can do it, if he can add another era to his many eras, and if he can win a 6th World Championship. So I thought it would be nice to take a little walk down memory lane. Faker's era store. We have all the vinyls right here. I want to start with the rookie era, right? Going to Worlds in 2013. That era where we did not know what we were going to see in the decade to come. He came, he saw, he conquered, he won that first World Championship, and he never looked back.
This is my personal favorite Faker era, which is the 2015, kind of going into 2016, right? This is where I really think he blossomed into the absolute best. This is where map play came in. This is where he expanded his champion pool. He's constantly learning new champions, the Lulu, the Azir, to become the best.
And to me, this is a sad era, but I think it's so important to telling Faker's story because you have to think back to these times where he was struggling. How long had it been since he won a world championship? After he lost to DRX in the finals, there was a lot of conversation about, is this the end for Faker? Will he ever get another opportunity like this? Will he get this close again? And so it was that struggle that made the current era, I think, so meaningful.
And now we find ourselves in the current Faker era, a moment where many sit with bated breath. Can he do what no one has done before, which is win 3 World Championships in a row? We are witnessing history, we are witnessing legacy right now. The question is, can Faker do what he failed to do in the past?
And it's great to see these eras because, you know, he's been such an icon, and sometimes I think with League of Legends esports has been what it was and what it became if it wasn't for him helping. We can hang our aspirations to him in all his eras.
I mean, the only one to match the GOAT is the GOAT. It is crazy when you look at these 2 different eras of his career, how much success he has had, how much longevity he has had. He now has the 2 most dominant, kind of eras of League of Legends. They're both just him. It's 2 dynasties.
It's crazy. Of course, it's going to be an insane matchup in the mid lane and everywhere, really. But we are 5 minutes away from the opening ceremony presented by MasterCard. And before we get into the predictions, please note that the opening ceremony features flashing lights and other effects that may not be appropriate for photosensitive viewers. But with that, let's see what the fans think at home. They have voted once again at MasterCard GG on X. And usually when T1 is playing, they do call the game for T1. I don't think it's going to be any different, but let's take a look.
The real question is...
Oh, wow.
So the real question is how many KT fans have also voted for T1? They want to keep that superstition going and they want to keep the faith not to get excited for KT, but we are damn near excited for KT.
We are 3 minutes away from seeing the culmination of all those weeks of the World Championship to see which story reigns supreme. So what do we think? What do you all think? And what are you looking forward to?
Well, as a KT fan on the desk, this is not a superstitious prediction. I do think T1 have the edge. My big thing is that it's going to come from these bot lane picks that Vedius touched upon earlier. I think with the way that both of these teams are playing around pushing bot lanes, I've loved Guma bringing out the Kai'Sa, having a lot of success on that. Karius champion pool, I think that is where the edge is going to be decided.
And to me, KT have earned their right to be here. It is not a fluke. They have improved so much, and they are an incredible team. It's just unfortunate for them that sitting across for them is the core 4 to make up the greatest League of Legends dynasty I think we have ever seen. Keria, Oner, Faker, Guma, no one has ever won 3. They are about to here today.
And you'll see that prediction and you might think this must be a mean prediction, and my analyst brain would think so too. But I was in this position 3 years ago when I witnessed DRX versus T1, and I predicted T1 to my own detriment. Because the truth is that at the World Championship, magic is real. The run that KT have done is a thing of beauty and a thing of excellence. And I truly do believe that today the pieces will come together and this team will shine like they haven't before. I do believe that KT will take home the trophy today.
So you're getting excited?
I am so excited to watch KT lift that trophy today.
Hey, either way, right? It would be an unbelievable story, Isaac. And I think, you know, anyone who's undecided would be happy to see either story come out today.
Absolutely. You get to see the continuation of this dominance, the greatest dynasty ever in T1, or you get to see a beautiful underdog story. No one thought they would be here. They have a chance to be the best in the world today.
And we were there in 2022 when we saw that one Cinderella story coming to fruition, but it is a lot. It is a tall order for anyone stepping onto the rest today. And legacy is earned. There's no shortcuts or workarounds. There's only the sacrifices, the passion, and the pure drive towards the Summoners Cup. A rare honor attained by an exceptional few. For BDD, it is a decade-long obsession, a longing larger than life, that feeling that he deserves to be the one to lift that trophy. He finally gets his chance at eternal glory today. But in his way stands Faker, a player whose legacy permeates like a sprawling river through the history of worlds, whose influence touches on all of the stories we hold so dear. And today, at the zenith of BDD's arc, he stands before him as the villain, the unkillable Demon King, the greatest of all time for the end of time. It's only poetic, then, that for BDD to fulfill his lifelong goal, he has to go through the protagonist of all of League of Legends. A crownless king versus the greatest to ever do it, looking for his 6th World Championship title, further solidifying a legacy that can never be doubted. Only one will lift the Summoners Cup today. It's time for the opening ceremony, presented by MasterCard.